YouTube, how's it going? Here joining me is Professor Crypto Banana. I got the name right this time.
Yeah.
You have your own channel, you have your own stories, you're on an entirely different side than me sometimes. Yeah, I'm just curious to get into some of the technical details, some of the stuff you're interested in. I guess take it away. Let me know where you've been and what you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, let's just start off first by saying that, hey, it's not everything in this video, not financial advice. Do your own research. This is just two dudes just sitting on a chat, having fun, talking about a lot of stuff. But yeah, you guys do you. But yeah, a little background about myself. I run a YouTube channel, and I think a lot of crypto is complicated. It's a new innovation. A lot of people don't know about it, and it can get very complicated, especially when you get further into certain areas. And I like to simplify it, so I'll draw out diagrams, and people seem very receptive because they're visual learners such as myself. So that's pretty much what I do. Similar to a doctor, they'll go into that and they have their specific area that they come out of. So let's say they could be a heart surgeon, or they focus on with children, with pediatrics, right? So everybody's got their own specialty. In crypto, mine happens to be DeFi, stands for decentralized finance. So it's just the idea that, hey, if you want to take out a loan, if you want to borrow, you want to get great just interest rates. I'm talking insane interest rates based on your risk tolerance. That too. So that is what I focus on, because I'm sure NFTs have their own benefit, and they do, but I'm not able to all of a sudden join the NFT community and really make that my specialty. So I focus on DeFi, and I really love that.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely that's a niche that if you know the space, I mean, it's you're good with numbers. We talked about that many times. We've gone over numbers and we've thrown ideas back and forth, and when you find something that aligns with what you're good at, it's like you don't want to get outside that space. Because like you said, for NFTs, they have their use, they have their space. But if you're not into that, if you're not into collecting, it's kind of hard to really navigate the space as well as you can navigate the DeFi ecosystems. I've seen you in a couple, because you have a couple videos out there where to me it's like overcomplicated, and I'm just like, this is getting ridiculous. Like, you're in like an Inception style investing firm, and it's just layer after layer after layer, and I'm like, I just want to wake up. This is getting crazy. So I'm curious, when you see this stuff, is there any that have been overwhelming to you, or do you just kind of dig into it and start writing stuff down, and is it more like a puzzle type thing?
Well, let me tell you, I can put on a brave face and get on the channel and talk about stuff, but I'm just lost in the sauce, just trying to figure my way out. And I figure if I can put in some time and find a project that I really like and scrape through the details and make it a little bit less complicated, then I've done my job. I don't take the position of crypto expert. In fact, in every single video, I tell people I'm not the expert here. This is just what I think, and I try to help people understand it. So hopefully that they get closer to the answer rather than further away. Because at least something is better than nothing, and that's how I go about it. And it's a huge compliment to me when a lot of people that truly do understand it say, yep, that's it, you nailed it on the head, very simple explanation. I say thank you. Sometimes I make a mistake, a lot of mistakes, and hey, it happens, but that's what I figure, something's better than nothing. And in terms of what project captures my eye, I don't know. I go with my gut. My whole view on DeFi, and I actually took this from Drake from Digital, because he said this one term and it just clicked with me. It's what project is sticky. Translation: which project are people going to hold the tokens? That is it. Because in DeFi, the way how I see it is everything is just bribing for people to stay in the project. But if people don't see the utility of it, they're going to leave. And you can mix it up with different crazy tokenomics, and this is where the complexity comes in. But simplified it, the best way is, are people willing to get bribed for the tokens, get all the extra tokens, and are they willing to hold it? That is it. You can go into tomb forks, you can go to ohm forks, you can go into staking, you can go into decentralized exchanges, and they don't, supply the token for you. But if people don't want to hold the token, that's it. So there are certain projects out there that people say, actually, I really like this, and even if the price is tanking, I still just want to hold the token and stack on my yields. And when I see that, that's how I know, okay, we're onto something. So Convex And Curve, that's a great example because people understand that there needs to be liquidity, especially for the bigger whales, to do more of the stable coins. Because you think, oh, there's USDC, what is it, Tether, and they both represent $1. So therefore, I should have the ability to go from a dollar coin to a different dollar coin because that's what I need to do in order to buy a certain other token. But that's not true, because you can still lose some money in the process. And if you start to become a whale, even a 2%, 1% slippage is huge. You don't want to lose that. If you're a smaller person and you got maybe $100 and you lose $1, you're like, screw it, whatever, I just really want this token. But if you're a big whale and you lose 1%, 2%, that is a big deal. So when Curve and Convex came along and said, yes, we're going to try to not get interrupted by Discord VMs, but but yeah, and they come around and they fix that problem. And then you get Curve, and then they keep on amplifying the rewards. People believe in it. It takes off, and there's something to it. And eventually, you start looking into it. You research a little bit more. You say, oh, this is interesting. And some of these concepts do carry over. So then it's less overwhelming. Because, for example, if you want to now get into a new token, do you start off by saying, okay, oh man, I gotta learn about MetaMask, I gotta learn how to change coins from a centralized exchange? Like, no, you already did this 30 other times. So now this new token comes along, you're ready to go. You have already all this background knowledge, and now you just need a little bit extra to catch up. So hopefully that makes sense there.
Yeah, most definitely. A lot of times you see investors where they join in when they're ready to go and they already like the project. They're just like, give me a couple things. Give me like the address that I can slap in. Give me the slippage. Let me know if I got to be in a certain platform. And those are like immediate buy questions. Like when you see that, you're like, I know exactly what he's doing. But yeah, I've definitely been in some projects where they have like farming areas. And it took me a bit to figure out what the difference was, because they'll have farming and staking, and I'm like, isn't that like, they're like, oh, you just take money and you throw it out there and you get money back, and I was like, isn't that the same thing? But apparently there's a difference there. Can you go into that a little bit for me, at least for me?
Sure. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to break it down simply. You got any other questions, just let me know. But when it comes to staking, the way I see it is there's a huge amount of token supply, and they say if you just give it up, you just put it away and lock it up, not try to sell it, we'll give you extra tokens as a reward. So let's say you have banana tokens and there's 100 million out there, and I say, all right, come stake it on my platform. I just want to reduce the amount that's circulating, and it should hopefully help the price. And we believe that by staking, you believe in the project, we believe in you, so we'll give you more tokens. You get more portion of the market share. There you go. Now when it comes to farming, that's a different story, because with farming, you're voluntarily giving up half token, one token and another token, so that people can swap between it. So,
gotcha. So that's setting up liquidity swapping. Okay, that makes sense now.
Yes. Yeah, so let's say somebody's coming around and they're like, I haven't heard about banana token. I want in on this. Well, if you don't provide liquidity, which in essence mean like if you want to come in and let's say give ETH for a banana token, somebody has to be willing to give up both of those tokens as a fund so that you can be a bridge between it. It's not just magic where, oh, okay, there's banana token and I got ETH and it goes. It's like, no, because this is decentralized and they're swapping and all of that. Somebody has to come in as the middleman and say, okay, I'm going to give you both tokens so that people can switch between it. Now, there is risk and there's impermanent loss and all that. So, sometimes you make money, sometimes you lose, but as a reward for putting up with that risk, the project will say, we'll also give you banana tokens for that. So you allow people to get into banana token and get out. So one is just taking the tokens off the market and rewarding the people that are willing to do that. And another one is for the people that are willing to provide liquidity and the ability to swap between banana token and whatever other token that they see fit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that clears it up perfectly. Because honestly, I had every piece to the puzzle perfect except for like one. And now, that makes complete sense of everything. Like one is basically generating like a nice price floor by removing it from being swappable or being traded. And then the other one is literally just setting up the ability for more people to swap between two different currencies. When they do that, do they have that's basically a pool, like a liquidity pool to be used for swapping? Does that go through another swapping platform usually, like the farms?
Yeah.
So it kind of
So
plugs in.
my assumption here, so double check this. My assumption is that what they'll do is they'll take it to a decentralized exchange, and then I don't know, maybe the decentralized exchange rewards liquidity through their DEX tokens. So I'm chucking down a lot of terms. So anybody that's listening that's like, wow, this is really going over my head, don't worry, we got you. We're going to simplify this even more. So let's say you give banana token and ETH, and you do a fusion of those two tokens known as a liquidity, then you get rewards. You're like, okay, cool. So the project takes those LP tokens that you just did the fusion for and boop, puts it onto their decentralized exchange so that people can swap with it. And as a reward for doing that, you know, when you're swapping, the decentralized exchange actually takes a little bit of a fee. Just a little portion, you don't even notice it, but it's enough. And as that little fee, that little portion gets rewarded in that DEX token. So let's just say Spirit Swap. So Spirit Swap will give out Spirit for saying, hey, thank you for providing this, that tokens so that people can do the trading. We'll give you Spirit tokens. Yay. And maybe the banana project's like, okay, I got Spirit tokens and I can swap out the Spirit token for banana tokens and just give out banana tokens as a result. A little bit complicated, I get it, but essentially I think it's using the LP tokens, giving it to the DEX, they're collecting some of the rewards and converting it back to their native token. That's hopefully how it works, but I'm not too certain about that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty similar to what I was thinking too. I wonder if they have a certain point where they have to meet before it's allowed to be an open swap. So like a pre-farming point or something like that. I'm not sure how all that stuff works either, but we'd have to look into that on another episode.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I was in one project that I was just helping them out with some of their marketing materials, and I'm looking into this, and I was like, they have this whole farm section set up, but it was set up like right alongside the staking, and I was like, this looks almost exactly the same, but I don't get what the difference was behind that. So yeah, that clears it up, because I had to write some information for it, and like I said, I have every other puzzle piece, but it wasn't quite solidified yet, so that clears up a lot of stuff for me.
And let me just interject here. Liquidity is very important. Now, the word may not mean a lot to a lot of people, but you will shortly when you look at the charts. So when price go up, everybody happy, yeah? But what happens when price go down? That gets very scary, yeah? Because people are going to, they see a bad chart, sell off, then there's panic selling, and it's a vicious cycle. So when price goes down, the people that are providing the farming tokens, they are also losing money as well. And then they start yanking out their funds. And you start a cascading effect because the selling has more of an impact as a result. If you ever try to provide liquidity for, let's say, just $100 of two tokens, man, in order to do a swap and get that full 100 for the other token, you'll see price slippage like you would never believe. It's incredibly hard, and that is what's important. So a lot of it's essential for projects to have deep liquidity, meaning you go out to the gym and you do a cannonball. What happens to that water? Splashes, right? How much gets onto the side and doesn't go back into the pool? Few drops, maybe just a handful of water, who cares? Try to do a cannonball in a kiddie pool. What happens? The water's gone. You can't get it back in, right? It's completely gone. Yeah, so that's pretty much what happens is if you don't have enough water in the pool and somebody does a cannonball in it, meaning panic sell, everybody's gone, and now you got like nothing to trade with, and the price, and somebody sells, it goes even like super hard farther, you got way more slippage, and it causes a cascading effect on the charts. So if you have deep liquidity, it really helps prevent that. But if you're discussing about new projects and they're saying, okay, we got to come up with these different ideas, this is what they're trying to do. Is that's one major hurdle that they need to overcome, is what if people really like the project but they don't want to provide the liquidity to make it happen so people can trade between. And that is a big issue, because by providing liquidity, you're not really gaining profits in the short term. I think it's more beneficial in the long term. So that is another big issue as well. So some people may say, I like this project, especially on the short term. I don't have to worry about this. I get a lot of profits, but then I can always get out real quick, etc. But liquidity providing, that's more of a long-term game plan, because you get slight rewards, but they auto compound. So I don't know, feel free to take it from there because I chucked a lot at you.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering, do you think it's better in the long term for them to tax a certain amount to set aside for liquidity? Or is that just something extra to kind of throw in there? Like, would that help mitigate some of the problems that we were just talking about?
Um, I think that liquidity is just a problem that's going to come with different solutions with multiple flavors. As I mentioned, there was ohm forks, tomb forks. There's locking up features that's coming up popular. There's taxing. There's reflection. There's so many different flavors that people try to keep doing, but the problem remains the same. So when you ask, do you think this would help? It could. It's just the same problem. Nobody's found the greatest solution as of yet. So eventually I can see a time where liquidity isn't really an issue, or maybe you do set aside a certain amount of funds because there are certain projects out there that say, yes, we will provide you liquidity and we think that you're a good project and we will take a 1% fee and we'll give you the deepest liquidity you ever need, as much as you want. I could definitely see that happening because think about it this way. From a different perspective, people put money into the bank, right? And what's the interest rate on that? Nothing. It used to be 10%, 15%, whatever it may be. Now it's literally nothing. And in DeFi, there's a great joke that goes around is people who are not into crypto think 20% interest is a scam and unsustainable. And people who are in DeFi says 20% is way too low. Why the heck would I even do that? That's on stable coins.
Yeah.
So what happens when people who are having big investments into their bank or just have cash on the side saying it's not working for me, I will take on that extra risk to get 20% APR. And then there's projects such as what you're looking at, or just projects all around saying, we really need access to that cash. Not because we want to use it, but it just gives a great ability so that people can trade, excuse me, so that people can trade in between these tokens. So banks and other people with a lot of cash on the side are going to say, you're going to pay us a lot for this capital we have over here, as opposed to just sitting there. It's like, yeah, in fact, it's a lot. So I see it as just a little nibble here and there because they're going to see it as very risky, similar to a piranha. I post up a great video. With piranhas, what they'll do is one will just take a little bite and everybody else watches. And if that piranha was successful, maybe the same one will go again, or a few others will sample. And once the coast is clear and you got that green light, and then the animal's gone. I see it as the same way as right now in DeFi. A lot of people are very skeptical. They don't believe it. They say, I'm looking at these APRs and this is not going to work out. And then sometimes it does. And then some people are going to try it and they're going to be like, by the way, I'm making a ton of money over here doing this. And then they tell a few other people, the network effect comes in, banks come in, and now all the banks are doing this. And by the time it's considered safe and not risky, well, your rates, you're going to be at the bottom. So it's risk reward, but that's what entertains me so well. And I can understand why new projects are coming in saying, okay, we got this issue, and I can see how this could potentially blend together.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much stuff that I want to cover, I want to get into. With the, oh man, I don't even know where to start now. I'm like, I got a whole list
Did
of
I
things.
just blow your mind where I like through all this and you're like, I'm seeing this
Yeah,
through
because
new
I grabbed like
eyes.
10 of them and I was like, I got points I want to get into, but I don't want to dive into some areas. And yeah, it's just, there's so much liquidity, I guess, like in banks that isn't being used in the way that it could be used in crypto. In crypto, it's like desperately like, if we just had this, we'd be totally fine and we could provide a much safer swap for people. And yeah, I think there's going to be like a golden time period somewhere in the middle where people start realizing, oh, this is viable. This is actually a real technology. This isn't just some make-believe thing. And it's starting to happen. It's starting to happen with conversations. Like I talked to my brother just a little while back, and he just still can't believe it. He's like, well, how are you sustaining? And I'm like, well, I'm making money and I'm paying my bills with the money I'm making. So it's not like a fake job or fake money or anything. It's like there's real stuff here. And once people start seeing like, oh, they can actually survive in here and you can work from home, like we're seeing that throughout the pandemic. People are starting to work from home now. They're starting to try all these different options. And it's only a matter of time before they say, I'm sick of making $0 in a bank for 10 years and I can put maybe a little test amount into crypto, and all of a sudden they get 20% kickback. They're like, well, let's just put the whole thing in there. What am I doing? And that's going to be just like a wild time for everybody else. All the people, probably like 1% of the world is even knowing about this. They're going to be riding that all the way up to the top.
Sure, and a lot of people that are watching this channel understand that crypto, there's some stuff to it. A lot of the outside world, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to anybody, and literally ask them for their opinion. And it will be right there in front of you that they say, I don't understand it. They may say, I think it's a Ponzi, it's unsustainable. And to a point, from an outsider's perspective, I fully understand that and could accept that. However, with blockchain and what it represents and the innovation that is happening, that's when you realize, no, there's something to this. Now, it may take a little bit of time, but there's so much utility that crypto is not necessarily a Ponzi, because it's changing and disrupting so many things. And I'm just going to bust through a lot. So yes, I talked about DeFi, and I got obsessed about the idea of getting APR, interest. Now, if you've got $100 and you're making 10% a year, 20% a year, that's nothing. But imagine if you are sitting on $1 million and you don't want to take it out, but at the same time, you can make 20% off that. You could live very comfortably off 20% APR just from having $1 million sitting there, and you don't touch the $1 million. So that is why that percentage, and you can get that through auto compounding and doing all that. So that's just the DeFi space. And we talked about the banks and whatnot, but let's talk about NFTs and how that's going to be changing everything. Musicians now can, instead of going to a record label company, so musician needs some capital to make their music. This doesn't fall from the sky, so they have to have editors and all that, and probably you can speak more about that as well, because I know you got some background experience in that. But if they want to make a great track, produce it, it costs money. They can't go to the bank and say, hey, listen, I'm a guy off the street and I know this is going to be a hit. Can you please lend me $10,000 for this? And they'll say like, well, maybe we can, but it's going to cost you a lot, or no. So then what they do is they go to a record label company, they accept a horrible deal, maybe they take that, but the record label gets 97% of everything, leaves the artist with maybe 2%. So that's why you see people that are on YouTube and they have 100 million views, but they're literally poor because they barely got anything out of it. I think NSYNC and it was a great example how they were just making literally $35,000 a year, despite the fact that they were mega rich.
Can I interject real quick? Did you see
Please.
the Prince video where he went on that? He went on like a little spiel about his issues. He was
No.
He did his own recording, he did his own album work, he did like everything completely away from the record label, and then he just signed the piece of paper and they were like, well, we get 60% of that, and he was like, but you didn't do anything, couldn't we sit down and talk about this? And he was saying just the fact that they aren't willing to take one step in the door and say, we can talk about this, we can discuss it. He was like, it's inevitably going to end to they won't be around anymore. And so yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there real quick.
Yeah, no, and I think that's in a lot of areas as well. So now with NFTs, there's certain projects out there that I like, and I'm sure there'll be many other. Opolis is one where they literally say, okay, here's a NFT that the artist puts out, let's say 1,000, and you buy the NFT, funds the artist to make the song. Now, any profits that artist makes goes back to the NFT. Royalties, you see them popping on YouTube. Cut out the middleman of the record label. In addition, people get the royalties, and they like the artist, hopefully, and they say, hey, check out my favorite artist, this new track, and it hypes it up, builds up the community. So there are plenty of artists, I'm sure that are your favorite. What if they just came out with an NFT saying, all right, you want a portion of what I got? You want to help support me, I want to help support you, get this NFT done. And they already did that with a few artists out there right now. And it's very interesting to see how it'll go. And that's just for music. I mean, with crypto gaming, for example, I'd say in gaming in general, I am personally not a fan of the fact that I put down, let's say, money on a League of Legends skin, and it's gone. Company owns it. League of Legends got it. But what if you have that skin as an NFT, and then I bought it, it's mine. Maybe a small percentage goes to the company Riot, and then likewise, I want to sell it to you, Alex, because it's it's going to be Christmas and it's the skin, and I've already done this for 3 years, but I'll rent it out to you for $10. You can make a business off of these NFTs. Qubit is doing one with player versus player, and you go around and maybe you go into a certain area where if you kill another player, then you get all their stuff. And then you can see on the blockchain, maybe it was a professional gamer that did it and had it. So then you get that item and you're like, oh, this is cool. And then you can sell the item and transfer. So it becomes more of a peer-to-peer rather than, let's say, different companies that own it and are profits and looking just for profits. Because I don't want to name out the certain companies, but I think they're notorious in the space for doing cash grabs and trying to push out products just for the fact that people buy the stuff rather than actually pushing out great content. So I don't know, what are your thoughts? I know you do a little bit of gaming as well.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to get into, like you were saying with the skins. If you buy something that's an NFT and it's like a skin, either what's going to happen is you're going to have this exclusive skin that you thought was cool and nobody else has it, and you're like, I got the only one. Or everyone's going to buy that, the whole place swarms in and buys it, and now you got the one that everybody bought out, that's sold out across the board, and you have something that's literally gaining value by everybody hyping it up. So either way, it's like a win-win if you buy the stuff that you organically like. And I love the idea of that, rather than having like something you think is cool and you pick it up and now everybody has it and you're like, great, I have the same thing as everyone else, and it has no value to it. It's just the thing that everybody has now. And that goes for anything like Fortnite skins or any game that has assets that you can purchase. Another one being Path of Exile. That was a big community startup, had a ton of funding coming in. There were like player support packs where they were like $2,500 and people were like, yeah, I'm just going to buy it in because I like it. And you get nothing really of value back other than you get some cool decorations and a badge to wear. And people loved it. They were still like, I'm going to do it because I support the game. And then this major gaming company comes along and they buy them out, and now they own everything. And it's all right. It's not the worst, but it's just like it could have been something of major value for the community members to actually invest in, and they would have had all this stuff back. Then when the major corporation comes along and says, we want to buy this out, people can do whatever they want with their assets, and they still own them. So they can say, oh, I don't like that company, I'm going to sell my stuff. And now they get a big kickback for what they were basically giving into the company to start with. So, there's a lot of opportunity in this stuff, and you can't deny how real that is. Like the idea of owning a little share of the company that you should be able to hold on to. And if the company does really well and your stuff does really well, you should be able to make profit and share with that, rather than just kind of throw it out and it's gone forever. So...
yeah, and crypto is it's difficult to understand for newer people if you don't want to put in the time. And likewise, it's a little bit difficult to do. Having to get on a centralized exchange, and then having to transfer the tokens to MetaMask, and then having to go to a decentralized exchange to get the token if it's not on, the Coinbase or whatever. And then how do you do X, Y, and Z? It gets overwhelming. But what if there are what if League of Legends does crypto behind the scenes and allows you to sell and buy the skins, and nobody has to know about crypto, but that's how it's getting implemented behind the scenes? That is the biggest disruptor right there. And people are rotating into League of Legends, and then they're rotating elsewhere. And then think about all the different markets that can happen. You can have people renting it out. You can sell it. You can create a business off of it. And it also keeps the project alive, because League of Legends, and all of a sudden somebody comes in and they become a new character that they really like. I'm a Sona main, so I would love that. And maybe I got 2 weeks of vacation and I'm going to be just playing League of Legends all the time. I'm not going to do that, but you get the gist. Somebody could find themselves in a spot and they just want to be like, all right, I want to stand out a little bit. I want to have fun. I'll rent it out. Sure. What's $2? Well, you paid $30 for the skin. Somebody's paying you $2 one time. You just create a business from home, as you just stated. And this is just one example. And this is with crypto, I see it as similar with the internet. If you were to go back in time and say, actually, this internet is going to be a huge thing, people would look at you, nah, that's all right, it's just a fad. But you'd say, no, listen, you need to drop what you're doing and you need to learn JavaScript ASAP. Because if you can really be passionate about it and know this stuff, you're going to dominate. You're really going to dominate the space. And you position yourself well so that when other companies are really needing it and doing this, you're all set. I'm sure you can probably attest to this. How difficult is it to find really good Solidity developers, meaning people who actually write the code for crypto?
Yeah, it's a struggle. It depends on where you're at. You can find a list of them, and then you can't find any that can communicate or the right time schedules, and yeah, it can be a mess.
Because what I'm hearing from a lot of people is there's rug pulls. So there's sketchy devs. A lot of them, aren't doxed, which is, I can see the benefit of both, right? Obviously, if you're an investor, you want to see somebody that is doxed. And if you're a developer, you don't want to mess up or have anything bad written to your name for personal security reasons. So you're like, nah, I'm not disclosing that. I'm here to do a job. But from what I'm hearing is, my apologies, I'm dodging the sun here, as you can tell. So I'm not trying to take a bad slouch position here, but no, projects are saying, yes, they need good devs. In fact, I personally have a lot of great ideas that I really enjoy that I would love to implement. But now all of a sudden I'm looking at it from a development standpoint, and it's not cheap. I haven't even looked, but the funds to do it, make sure that they're really good and not mess up. Because when you take on people's money, that is not something I want to shortcut in terms of development. Like, this guy's doing it for 30% less. He has less experience, but 30% less money. Hey, we can save it. No, then all of a sudden people come in, they invest, and they lose the money. That's on me. That is on me, and I don't want to sit well with that. And I'm sure a lot of other people are. But likewise with coding, it takes time to learn your mistakes. You don't pick up a basketball and think that you can, dunk on everybody and know all the moves. It takes time, and it's acceptable to mess up and make mistakes. But when you're dealing with people's money, you got to be good. You don't go to a surgeon and say, oh, well, this is his first time. I hope it goes well. He was 50% cheaper. You're like, no. When is a surgeon? That person better know what the heck he's doing, or she. They better know what the heck that they are doing, because I don't want to risk it. But it costs 50% more. I'll pay 100% more to make sure that he doesn't mess up my heart. Yeah. I got no other shots. And I feel the same way as with crypto. But to learn the coding and the development is very difficult, and it's very risky. People are saying this is an unknown space. But when I look at all the innovation that's going, I say, high risk, high reward. If people are saying, they don't want their 9-to-5 job and all this, and they're looking for work, okay, maybe pick up a job to help sustain yourself. But if you have a little bit of spare time, if you're in that fortunate position, learn how to do Solidity developing. People complain about student loan debt. Well, guess what? You can go online and learn for yourself for free. Literally for free. There's no reason for student loan. There's no, you have access to the internet, you can do it. You can do it. And it's a demand. There's a need. And you can bypass it and be ahead of the pack. But it's just, are you willing to take that leap of faith and see kind of what is the utility? So, but that's just my 2 cents. Also, crypto tax accounting, that could also be a thing, because that is very complicated. I'm sure there's a lot of people that make a ton, and they're looking for good people on the tax side. So that is also, if you're kind of bored of just tax stuff and you see a little bit of crypto, and man, get into that as well, potentially. But not financial advice. But go ahead.
Definitely. Yeah. Something to kind of throw out there. This is, I don't know, it could be a little bit touchy, but the schooling stuff. One thing I love about the crypto space is nobody comes in and says, well, here's my 8-year degree and I have 12 years experience. It's just like, can you do this? Have you done any marketing? Do you have experience? What have you done? Show me your progress with other stuff. That's a lot of times what these groups are asking for. They want to know what stuff you've had your hands in, what kind of returns you've already presented to a community. And if you can show all that stuff, they're like, yeah, come aboard. We need you, right away. And I've never been in a project where they're like, well, what college did you graduate? It's like, I don't have any college for this. I did this by learning what I'm doing. And it's such an organic space for like people that don't have like a formal background. And like you said, with Solidity, you can come in and you can learn this stuff. It's not like something you have to get an 8-year degree and come and then show your work and be like, oh, I have this place to verify my stuff. if you know what you're doing and you've put in the work and you've learned it, you can present it, and you could work maybe alongside another developer for a while and just get that name in there. And then you go to another group and you say, I've worked with this group. They can verify that I've built their stuff with them. And you could build a whole career on it without a ton of investment into a traditional college. And I love the space for that, because like starting up a business doing marketing style stuff, it's just like, like I said, you never have to worry about going into a group and showing your experience and showing your certificates and showing all your student debt stuff that you have to acquire. But if you do that in the real world, it's like impossible. If I go to a large corporation and I'm like, I think I have a really great idea for marketing, they're like, get the hell out of here. What are you doing? We're going to call security. And I've actually written to a couple major corporations where I was like, I had this really good idea for something that you guys are doing, and I actually had information about one of their competitors that I know is doing something. So I was like, I would love to work with you guys, but you have to at least give me that 1% of trust and reach back out to me. And they never do. And I'm always just like, man, like, I hope their competitor burns them to the ground, but I have no mercy for them. But
makes sense, yeah.
But yeah, like these corporations, that's all they have to do is just kind of set aside their traditional things and say, maybe these guys are actually putting in the work and they're actually learning these things, and maybe there is a future in solidity and putting in the work. I have a lot of hope that the space can change a lot of the problems that we've seen. Because that was a thing for me getting into school. I went to a tech school and I learned how to do manufacturing and like robotics. And I get into the job field and suddenly it's 2008 and everybody's out of work and there's nothing. And I'm just like, I know how to do robotics though. And they're like, yeah, we don't need you. We just need like a guy to press a button and we'll pay you $8 an hour. And all my guys couldn't find work. Everybody from my class, they either went into more schooling or they looked for work. And all the ones that looked for work, they ended up at home with their parents, broke. And crypto is like a new opportunity. It's like a new beginning for me to say, I know what I'm doing. I've put in the work. I just don't have all the schooling and certification to show for it. But I can show you numbers and I can show you what I've already done in communities. And that's been like, I guess like a kind of a new start for me. It's been a new life. And I'm super appreciative to the space for that. It's something that I just want to be pushing forward and sharing with other people. And even like my brother, he's like, well, I don't believe in the thing because I don't know how you could get involved with this and how you could make it a legitimate job and everything. And I'm like, there's plenty of stuff, you just have to know what you're actually excited about, what stuff you want to be putting in the work for. And you can find a space for it here. So.
Agreed. And I think there will come a time where corporations will go, oh shoot, we need this. I watch different YouTube videos about it, such as Raoul Paul, and he makes a great point saying they're going to be, companies that implement NFTs are going to be ahead of the game, and eventually it will migrate to that. Now, people, when they say NFTs, what pops into mind? It's the idea of, some sort of punk, some sort of crypto monkey type of deal, and that's it. And they say, no, you don't know what the heck you're talking about. Well, Raoul Paul gives a great example about Disney. A lot of people know Disney worldwide. Some people are very super passionate about it. They watch every movie, they love it, and that's the thing. And then all of a sudden you offer this NFT and you say, okay, you get this NFT, it's more of a membership or a special club that now anything Disney, you get 20% off. Maybe you get to watch the movie before everybody else does, and all these different perks that come with it. And all of a sudden you're part of the club, you're part of the community, and it's just building and building and building. So, and the business can go directly to the people and to the community and not have to deal with as much marketing. So now what's going to happen is these companies, once one starts doing it and sees that's really successful and it's kicking off and it's maturing, as you mentioned, they're not going to necessarily care that you went to college and you got a crypto degree, which I can foresee this. I say in 3 years, 4 years, these schoolings will offer marketing for crypto, a specialized area. For coding, they'll say, if you want to learn Solidity, there we go, we'll charge you a ton to learn it. Meanwhile, the opportunity is right here and still will be right there, right? So then these companies are going to say, no, we don't need this degree because this degree wasn't even out there yet. We need people now. Show me what you've done. And they take a look at you and the work that you've done and said, okay, yeah, let's see your resume. Oh, you did this? You hold up, $100 million project? Okay, that's pretty good. And it was successful, and and you did it again over here? Huh. All right, we'll bring you on ASAP, but I don't have a degree. We don't care. We need this implemented right now. We need the experts, the people that were willing to risk it ahead of time. So,
right. Not to mention the people giving the speeches, the people actually teaching the classes. They want somebody who's had experience. It's not going to be a bunch of teachers that have never done it before. So, yeah, there's
70-year-old that just woke up, hair all messy, and he's telling me about crypto and what's the benefit. No, thank you. But
right. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Like, there's a lot of opportunity for you to learn the space and be ahead of the curve, just even in the education field. If you're already a professor and you're already giving speeches on this, it's like, well, maybe I could look into some of the stuff, learn it, and now I have a whole arsenal of stuff to bring to the table. Or if somebody says, well, could you foresee this working with crypto? You're like, I already know exactly what I'm going to say about that. I've already thought about it. And yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time to get involved with the space and learn all this stuff and learn all the terms and the technology. And it's weird. It's like when you look back on those old internet videos where they're talking about email and the people are like, I already got a mailbox. And it's like, it's funny to us now because now it's like we barely use our email because we have instant messaging and we have so many other options for getting a hold of each other. And yeah, a mailbox is like I don't even have a traditional mailbox. It goes to my grandma's house, and then I have a reason to go visit her once a week. So it's just yeah, it's made everything obsolete. And I think crypto has an opportunity to put a lot of businesses completely out, make a lot of technologies obsolete, and build a whole new space for people. Yeah, I'm just like, man, I'm blown away by it. There's so much.
Yeah, and another thing, I have a book on my shelf right now that I'm looking at. It's called The Price of Tomorrow. And what it talks about is that, everybody's talking about inflation, right? Printer go burr. But what happens is, at the same time, technology is making things more efficient. And the price of that is that a lot of human resources is not needed. You gave a great example right there. You went to tech school, did robotics, then all of a sudden some machines came out, probably replaced your job. You're no longer needed. You got extra human capacity, people, resources, but you're not needed. What happens when people are, out of work? A lot of people, start getting out of work because they're getting replaced by technology. That's an issue. In addition, it states there that technology is increasing. It doubles every 1.5 years. Okay, this is numbers, but it doubles every 1.5 years. So it starts off slow, but as time progresses, the changes are more extreme every, let's just say, 2 years. So the way how to think of it, well, let's look at the gradual scale. Horse and buggy went to a car. Whoa, electricity. Whoa, okay, pretty cool. You get a light bulb, you can read in the dark. Dang, really interesting. Well, it is, but then all of a sudden, look at that progression. All of a sudden, okay, we got lights, electricity, cool. Oh, here comes the internet. Oh, Amazon comes along. Oh, now I can order something online, get it sent to me the next day at my door, and I don't even have to leave my house with a credit card payment that just also happened online through the banking. Oh, guess what? Okay, that was all up to that time frame. What happens if we double that in the next 2 years? It's going to be mind-boggling, and we already see it right now. There's talk about trying to transfer funds. And it's really a pain when it comes to sending it internationally because, maybe we're in the U.S. and all the families in the U.S., but in other countries, when they live in different places, they're spread out, they want to send it to different countries. It's a pain, and then there's a lot of fees. But what if you could just send a stable coin from one spot to another and with minimal fees, anytime they like, don't have to go through any hoops, boom, send it to their family member, done. That is just one way things are changing, and that's the basic, right? But where things are going to be going as everything that we were discussing about NFTs, companies, all this, man, they're talking about how you don't have to go to a bank to get a mortgage for your home. DAO's coming out, there's one in particular, and they're talking about how, this is my basic understanding, I just skimmed over it. They buy the house, and then they buy the house, and then the mortgage is an NFT, and then you take on that NFT. So then you pay the 2% rate, whatever it may be, no questions asked, or maybe they do their own filtering excuse me, however they do it. But now all of a sudden, I come in and I say, oh man, I need a bounce. I don't, can't afford the rents in this house. I can't pay the mortgage, or I just want to go to some place that's warm because it's freaking cold outside right now. I see snow. I don't want to deal with this. And all of a sudden you say like, hey, professor, I'll step in. I'll take it. I need a place. What are the rates? What's that? I'll be like, okay, do you pass your credit, all that good, well, not even credit, just maybe past history quick. You didn't trash 5 other different homes and now you're looking for a place and you can kind of pay for it. Okay, cool, boom, snap it. Now you don't have to wait 90 days for the bank to sign off and deal with all the real estate and all that. Boom, just here you go, move on out and keep going. And it just makes things so much more efficient. And that's just small examples. So again, circling back to, you talk to your family, your friends, and you say, have you looked at crypto? And they're like, it's kind of a Ponzi type of, I don't know about it. It's like, well, sooner or later, you're going to have to know about it. So right now, things may be inefficient, but it's growing. So why not ride the wave if that is what you're passionate about?
Yeah. In one of the AMAs that we did, in one of the groups I'm in, we talked about this one recently. A lot of these ideas are coming up. These are coming from like janitors and basic ass people. We're not like the smartest minds in the world coming up with these ideas. We're just basic people coming up with these amazing, ridiculous ideas. So when you finally get like a mainstream adoption and you finally get some of these crazy, wild minds out there working in the crypto space, you're going to see like 10 times what we have now. All the crazy, amazing stuff is like just very base level starting point, and we're going to see like, this whole tree of adoption just growing from there. So a lot of the stuff that we think is crazy, it's like, oh, that's just basic entry level stuff down the road. We're going to be seeing entire systems and societies maybe running on crypto, having like they've talked a little bit about some of the governance and the voting systems, and to be able to see the possibility of some type of almost like a communist society based in crypto. I mean, it's viable. It's something that you could test out and be like, well, let's see how a small community can function with the full voting system and having equal share of things. If it worked out and another country said, yeah, we're going to do it, I mean, that could be the future of how our monetary systems operate. It's just, there's a lot of stuff, man.
And probably smaller countries, there's certain ones that are from an economic side that they say, we are so screwed. There's nothing that we can get on top and we're struggling to get by. They say, all right, let's look at this innovation. We'll try it. We'll risk it because we got nothing left to lose and we're stuck. And it's this whole gamification. And then one country does it, they get a little bit ahead. And then other ones start looking and saying, all right, we'll try it. And then that is more of a testing playground potentially.
Yeah. And you think like, let's say you're in some third world area and one city decides, we're going to run this governance token. This is how we're going to pay people. We're going to set up a whole system that operates like this. If it works, just anywhere, if it works in one of these small cities, people outside the city are going to be like, man, everybody there is happy, everything is working properly, they're living, they're not struggling as much anymore. They're going to start coming into that space. And then all of a sudden you have everybody in the areas like, man, this space is great, let's come over here. And suddenly you're building this whole community out. And then pretty soon the countries that didn't want to adopt this are like, how come their country is thriving? How come those guys are doing good? And you just end up with like this bigger and bigger snowball effect of these communities growing out and spreading through the space. And the way that crypto operates, the people that get there first make more from it. So these countries that are starting that innovation first, they're going to be thriving down the road. And that's a big thing that a lot of the Bitcoin people talk about, is like just the fact that anybody who gets in early is going to be that much better off down the road.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and it can happen with any of the cryptos out there.
Well, to add on to that is some country. Okay, so the U.S. has a lot of the infrastructure built up, right? They got like the telephone lines, they got everything. But in certain countries, such as Nigeria, I know some information, I gotta do more research. I'd have to do more research, but Nigeria, they didn't really have to set up all that heavy infrastructure from the back of the history. They can literally jumpstart and say, you got a cell phone? Let's do this. That's all you need is a cell phone. And a lot of people there are buying crypto. It's a huge thing. It's trending where they'll say like, I'll send you Bitcoin, you send me Bitcoin for this, that, trade it. And I even look on Twitter, there's a lot of people from Nigeria that are just loving this stuff and they're getting in on it. And especially because they shortcutted the whole transition because they didn't even have to transition. They just had to adopt. So maybe in the US, it's more of a transition. It's very difficult. You can see from Ethereum trying to get to 2.0, right? Really difficult. To Lynn Alden, she said it's the equivalent of trying to reassemble your plane when it's in midair. It's really tricky. But if you have countries that can just adopt it right away and run with it and be successful, as you were saying, and then other countries are looking and saying that they're far behind, it's a cascading effect. But it does take time. But likewise, with time, if you see where the puck is going, you can position yourself accordingly. So you can learn the solidity. You can get in, if you're more of a marketing person, learn how to transfer your skills. Today, I don't know much about marketing, but I know that Facebook ads and Google ads and
Hold on a second, my quality is skipping out.
No. Okay.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I don't know. It was just glitching for a second there. I missed with the Facebook ads, and then it cut out for a bit.
No worries. So I can just start from the portion again. So as you were saying about the marketing, well, what if some people come in and they look at the crypto? They don't have to know too much about it. They'll pick it up along the way. But if they're seeing that the marketing is very saturated through Facebook ads, which who would have thought that Facebook ads would have been a major thing? But it is, and it took off. And even some people don't know about, Facebook ads, really, you can make money? Well, yeah, it was actually a very profitable business model and how they do things. Well, now you take a look at crypto, can do that. Take a look at the metaverse, and that's popping off. But imagine it's, you got the Oculus Rift, and they're making things really cool with VR. I can see teenagers and younger crowd putting on those things and doing the Minecraft equivalent of that in there and adopt it. I'm sure many of them are asking it for Christmas, and that thing is just taking off with innovation already. So now, instead of meeting up on Zoom and Skype to talk to your grandma, tell her, put on the dang headset, boom, there you go, and you actually see her in person, and it's that more interactive feel. You can extend it out to businesses and stores where you can virtually see how a particular shoe looks on your foot. In the meantime, you can have land, you can have advertisement. Now it's a little bit difficult because it's not implemented yet, but if you can learn how to be a great marketer in the metaverse space and go to, let's say, Adidas, because they got their own sandbox land, wherever it may be, and say, I know how to market for you in the metaverse already because I'm putting array strategies. Because you talk on YouTube, right? There's different algorithms and people learn how to hack that to get the growth the best. And it's just either you do the rules or you don't. It's simple. Well, when it comes to the metaverse, there are rules and psychological things that people don't really understand. But if you can get ahead of the crowd, you can really, really make something special. So it's opportunity all around, which is amazing, as opposed to, as you were talking about robotics or whatever, it's maybe fully saturated and you look for what's next.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, man, I'm so blown away by how everything's been. When you look at some of the Bitcoin stuff, I see this weird separation of some of the mainstream guys where they're so headstrong, tunnel vision about Bitcoin that they don't even acknowledge that there's technology in crypto of any kind. It's just Bitcoin and that's it. And do you see the same thing, or is that just a me thing?
I do, and I just accept both. I'm trying to become more adaptable because, with the innovation that's happening so fast, you have to be adaptable. It's just what's happening. 1 year ago, Ethereum had a major portion of the altcoins, and now, due to the high gas fees, all these different layer 1, layer 2 solutions are coming out, and you can just take a look at DeFi Llama and just see it just branching out, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon, and it makes sense. Gas fees, well, people stepped up and a lot of developers are coming out with their own solutions, and it's going to be just all split. It's interesting to see. I have nothing against the Bitcoin, people that are really maximalist on that. And in fact, you need them. You need everybody. There's no, I can't believe you're only a Bitcoin maximalist. It's like, well, you have valid points. You literally do. By getting into Bitcoin, you're getting the most secure, probably the most, regular, the governments are probably, as opposed to all the other different altcoins and whatnot, Bitcoin is probably the most seen as a asset as opposed to a security, and it's probably more safer than institutions to hop in potentially and all that good stuff. So, and it's tested. It's been around for such a long time, gives that security and assurance. So there is a need that I see as a major benefit, and whoever is into Bitcoin likes it, they have valid points. Likewise, with the innovation that's happening, I think you have to at least concede that other projects are also bringing benefit to the communities, whether you like it or not. Now you can hold your position and say, no, Bitcoin is the only way, and it's like, great, we need it. You can see what happens to the market when Bitcoin tanks. So people are like, oh, I can't believe you're only in Bitcoin. I'm like, well, as of right now, we need you. We need everybody, right? And it doesn't matter necessarily, okay, which token, which chain, because it's just the general trend. So go with the trend. And if people are in it because they really like the security and what it represents, fine. But if you want to go for different innovation and whatnot, then yeah, check it out. I'm not going to rip on any NFT project because I personally don't see it as valuable or whatever, but then behind the scenes there's community, and the community is what you're really buying into. You're not buying into the actual picture, you're buying into access to that community. And people who says that networking is not important, we're kind of tribalistic, right? We grew from small tribes, and small tribes is extremely critical for our survival, and probably once it gets too big, smaller tribes come along. But regardless, it has value. It has value. So there's, yeah, I'm looking around and I say you gotta be adaptable. So if they're not, fine, but I'm willing to take on that extra risk to try to see how I can profit and get ahead of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're almost like the blade on the bulldozer. It's like they're hitting a lot of these points where they need to be there to break through to mainstream media just to get that point across that like there is another technology there. There's a ton of innovation, and it's just some of these smaller groups, they're not able to reach like that. They're not able to get to these other countries. But something that I was looking at when I got into the meme coin side of stuff, and nothing against meme coins, but when I got into that side of things, I realized every time a meme coin is like pushing and they're saying we're going to be the next currency, I'm like, they'll never be the next currency ahead of Bitcoin because Bitcoin's already known in all these other countries. And maybe they could behind it, but Bitcoin still has to like break that wall down just because it's so big and it's so well known. And like you're already seeing that where countries are saying we're going to adopt this, we're going to try this out. And they're not trying out like flying dog coin of the moon. They're trying out like Bitcoin and the stable coins to see how it works with their communities. So yeah, I do see like there is a major purpose for that, and I think that's sort of like like the blade on the bulldozer, sort of breaking into all this space for people. So I'm happy that they're there, but I'm also kind of hoping that they start perpetuating like a more healthy community, because I've seen a lot of them where I try to bring up, I would love to see more of them sort of introducing people to the space, and they're like, we don't need introductions, we're Bitcoin. I'm like, okay, that's great, but we should be sharing this with people and teaching them how they can get involved with it and all the applications of cryptocurrency. Even for just the Bitcoin maximalist, they should be showing all the things it can do. I got a car alarm going off or something.
Yeah, and I gotta wrap this up in about like 5 minutes here, so yeah, we can edit that out. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know there's so much good stuff to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Man, you just get all into it. But yeah, I gotta get going in 5 minutes.
Yeah, my friend's been calling me like 12 times. I'm like, I'll get to you eventually. Oh man. Yeah, it's good though. I think we're in a really sweet spot, and I think it's up to some of these communities to, I guess, to kind of build out and kind of provide something to the space. That's what a lot of these groups want to do too. It's like they want to have something to provide. They're like, how do we get into marketing? How do we do this organically? Well, start giving back to the community. Start putting up tutorial videos to show people how to buy your stuff. That's going to help people buy your stuff. Things like that, it provides value to everybody. So when they start looking into how to give back to their communities, how to build a better community, it helps everybody. The more people that know how to use a wallet, the more people are going to be able to get into the projects I like, as well as the projects other people like. So if I can teach someone how to use a wallet, I'm helping the whole space. It's just it's a good mentality. It's like, what are we giving back as our own communities? And yeah, I think it's up to everybody to sort of build out the space and have these talks.
Exactly, yeah, and it's the tutorials and the education. I think it'd be kind of cool to go to different companies and just say, actually, I'm on YouTube, and I will explain to everybody here how to do it through a Zoom call, whatever, and just go from there and say, yeah, I got the experience, and be an educator in that way, and do all the different things, And you're right, all this knowledge stacks. So if you want a different project and you learn how to use the wallet, well, then you don't have to repeat it the next time somebody wants to get into your project. But by helping people, I hope that they appreciate and they get a sense of community, saying, oh man, they helped me learn about this and guide me through this. So they are more willing to stay and contribute back. Hopefully, community aspect. And in addition, simplicity is highly needed. Amazon makes it really easy. You go in, one step, click, proceed, done. And the whole idea is remove as many clicks as possible. Make it as easy as possible. And with a lot of these different coins that are dog coins, meme coins, it's very simple what the message is. Buy the coin, be a part of the community, hype it up, hope that it goes up, enjoy the ride. That's it. Getting people even to that point, very difficult. Not to mention, when all of a sudden you take on the extra layer of steps, you're blocking a lot of people out because they don't want to take the extra steps. So if you're a project out there and you want to make it simple, that's what you do. Do whatever you gotta do. And maybe that's a niche for me where I say, okay, you got a project out there, too many people are asking you questions, I will build you a specific diagram. I'll do whatever I gotta do to make it very simple so that people can go in, go 1, 2, 3. Oh, I get it. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's another kind of business side, whatever it could be. Not doing that at the moment, but it's always the possibility, because when you take a look at Twitter and all these other different places, you'll see, and Discord and Telegram, people are asking the same dang question. And if you could just post a video that says, oh, you got that question? There you go. It's 2 minutes long. There you go. Oh, well, okay, thanks, that worked. And you eliminate 60% of what they're trying to ask, and it's all addressed in there. You're saving time. And then you're cleaning up the whole chats, because now it's no longer about like, oh, how do I do this with my, it's boom, there you go, out, clean it out. Now you have the real dialogue, the real deep questions coming along. And then you get to the key points, and you're becoming more efficient. Essentially, you're getting more people in it way quicker. They're not dropping out because they're saying it's too complicated. You're having the people that want to get in get their real questions answered that haven't been asked or is more complex, get in there. And it's the things that people don't understand, but it has a great effect on probably price and people getting in and the community. So that's my 2 cents.
I noticed that my background's slowly fading away, and I'm just like,
no,
I'm just fading into my background.
Yeah, I'm fading away.
Like the one meme where they just disappear.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably dark in your room, so if you had like a little light or something.
Yeah, I got one over here by me, but it's just not doing enough. Oh well.
It's all good. All right, sir. But I gotta get wrapped up. So how about we do kind of concludey time here, a little outro section, if you will.
I don't even know what to outro with.
You could just say like, hey, thanks for coming on the channel. We had a great chat. It was awesome. Love to have you back on. And where are some places? What's the best way to follow you and follow along and keep up with your stuff if the audience is interested in what you're doing?
Exactly what he said. Best place to follow me is probably on YouTube. I'm going to be doing AMAs in different communities and all over the place, so I'm going to try to get as much info posted everywhere that I go so everybody can follow stuff. I know I got people from like 2 or 3 different communities that want to start checking out the YouTube channel, so I'm going to try to get everything together in one central location so you guys can figure it out. As far as your channel, I do want to kind of give people some insight to that. Where can they find you? How do they get a hold of you?
Sure. So my primary place is YouTube, Professor Crypto Banana. Sweet name over there, right? You can also follow me on Twitter. I also got a Discord channel. It's free, just a lot of people just sharing alpha. We keep up the good vibes. And as you can probably tell through the conversation, I like making things simple, but sometimes we go a little bit complex. And we have a lot of fun because that's what it is. I'm just passionate, love it. So yeah, feel free to stop by. But if not, no worries.
It just keeps erasing me. I'm just going to be a floating head in a little bit. Oh shit, my timer's almost up. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to doing a couple more meetups like this as I'm figuring out my own space and getting the channel built out. And yeah, I look forward to seeing your new content. I've been following that at least every couple of videos I watch. So hopefully I can catch up more on that now that I have some free time.
Sounds
So
great. Yeah, absolutely.
until next time, we'll talk to you later. And we're actually pretty close to where each other live. We still got to go out for a beer from like 6 months ago.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
One of these days. All right, man. Take care.
All right. Peace, guys. Bye.
Later.